Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. Today is the 18th day of early morning. That is January 2021. And I want to talk to you about something that just leading to some issues I saw last night as I was watching a gentleman who was, I say gentleman, but a young man talking about communism. I thought that was a dead horse. Didn't it fail? I thought it failed, didn't it? Didn't it fall? Didn't this happen in 1989 when the Soviet Union collapsed? And yet we're still talking about it as though it's it's a valuable, subject. Let me just lay this out here as I share this, is that both capitalism and communism is very clear. It's similar to the right and left. You see, there are two wings, but in reality, it's the same bird. That's right, same bird. You see, communism and capitalism is that you're a slave. You're a slave in both systems. Both economic systems, you're enslaved. You see? So I see people arguing, and in fact, I've had a friend to tell me this. We need to move in the area of socialism. Oh, really? That's what we've had here for the last 75 years in our country, if not longer. You see? But when you say, well, what are you talking about, Rand? All you got to do is look at the programs that Franklin Delano Roosevelt introduced and promoted. They were all socialist platforms. In fact, do you remember let's go to Social Security. Now, basically, the government comes to you and says this: you're too stupid to save money, so let us save it for you. Well, that's kind of hard, isn't it, Brent? No, it's not. It's real. You have this attitude now that people, I run into people and talk to them, and I kind of listen to them. Is that, well, I put my money in it, I should get it back out. Well, yeah, I understand that, but the point simply is, the realization is simply is this. The government is saying you're too stupid to save money. The government is saying you're too stupid to do anything. So let us do it. Let us promote it. Let's take some more of your money, because you see, Social Security itself is broke. It's been broke for a while. They won't tell you that, especially in the media. They won't tell you that. They'll say it's got some problems, but they won't tell it's broke. Broke meaning, no money in there. Simply IOUs. You know what IOU is? Just like that dollar bill you have on, in the back part. IOU. It's a note. It has no value to it except your belief in the system. So here's the point, and I'm talking about different things here. Why are we debating the two groups here? You see, it's the only two. I mean, is there anybody else out there that has a different perspective? Does anybody out there has, well, we have to have capitalism, such and such, or we have to have communism, such and such, but yet you're a slave because you have to pay taxes in one way or the other. Oh, yeah, you have a little bit more freedom supposedly in capitalism, but in reality, simply you've been fooled in a lot of that too. Well, there is a different perspective. Lysander Spooner spoke about it. It's very clear. He spoke about what we call natural law. The words that Jesus said. I will not do unto others as I would like to be, done to. In other words, I don't do any evil to them because I don't want evil to come from them. Because it's part of it's also karma. Isn't it karma? If I do somebody wrong, then that karma will revisit me later on. because I did someone wrong, and I knowingly did something wrong. Not like I didn't know as a child may be. You see. So Lysander Spooner speaks about certain things. He speaks about simply as the Constitution of no authority, because me and you never signed it. We never agreed to it. We just were told all these great things about it in school. And so the dilemma is simply is why are we debating communism and why are we debating capitalism? Because basically they lead us all down to the same trap. I remember being a part of the John Birch Society many years ago, and they would talk about simply getting us out of the UN, which I recognize simply as a problem. The United Nations is the problem, part of it, but there's more other problems that's taking place. Do you ever get the idea that as an American right now, in the last 10 years, if you're really paying attention, that all your flanks are exposed? In other words, the Americans are being attacked from every angle there could be. Do you see that? You're, especially now, it's very clear. It's out in the open. It's about as clear as can be that, our dollar isn't worth anything and the dollar is losing value quickly. I mean, it's quick. It's happening right in front of you now. Like, I remember not that long ago that you could get a chili, which a chili is this chilies with meat and beans and that type of thing, onions and peppers in a soup-like type of deal here in America. That is a regular size or small was 99 cents. I went in there a couple days ago and I didn't get a small, but I got a large one. It's $3.15 now. That is a large. And the small one, I think, is about 65 or 70 cents cheaper. So it's about $2.60. And they just went up. See, I went in there the week before or 2 weeks before, and it wasn't $3.15. I want to tell you who the enemy is here, folks. It's your government. Your government is destroying the dollar on purpose. You see, they're doing it so they can pay off their debts quicker because the money is worth less, so they have more of it. You see, everybody doesn't understand how the Federal Reserve here in this country works. There's some red flags out there. Let me share this with you. I think I shared this the other day, but let me share it again for those out here that didn't. It's let's see. Here we go back here. Let me go to the shares deal here. I'm learning here. It takes me a little time, but I'll get there. This is an excellent site to go to. Now, he doesn't offer, this is a guy, it's called Shadow Government Statistics. The Fed right now is printing money like it's nobody's business. They're printing paper, just, they're putting it on computer, but they're actually producing it, paper, throwing it into the economy. And that's what drives the value down. Do you follow? And I'll skimmage here, go, and I've talked about this whole they're talking about it, hoping this would be what they call a U-shape recovery. Well, folks, it's not going to be a U. It's what they call a L, meaning losses. Okay, meaning there's no recovery. And there were warnings to us. We know that. I know that for quite a while. I actually have warned people as since 2005 that you need to invest in something else besides just a dollar or putting it in a savings account or whatever, that you need to invest in something else. It doesn't mean you have to invest in silver and gold. It means simply as you invest in other things. In fact, food and water are going to be far more important than silver and gold, you see, because it won't buy anything, because simply is if nobody has any food, it doesn't matter how much money you got in gold and silver, it doesn't work. So I just want to skim this out, just show you this here, because the point is, it simply is, it's happening right before your eyes here. And so suddenly all the leftists have come out of the woodworks, so to speak, and actually are, you promoting communism and socialism as though we need to get paid $1,200 a month. Really? Well, I tell you what, folks, let's just figure it out real quick. $1,200 is not going to be enough in the future. In fact, $1,200 right now is not enough for many families at all. So let's get real. And if the government's printing it, the Fed is, not the government, the Fed, the private bankers, period, then what happens simply is it's worth less, you see. And the more it's printed, the less value of it. And so if you work, say you're working and you're trying to earn some money here, you're trying to stay ahead of this whole thing. Do you get the idea that we're on the same track as other countries like Zimbabwe? Not yet. Germany? Not yet. But we're headed. What about Argentina? What about, Venezuela? We all making fun of them, when the United States is really actually. Did you know? I just realized that the United States at one time was buying oil, was the number one customer. We were buying more oil from Venezuela than anywhere else at one point. I wonder what's happening now in that area. Since we're trying to push out a particular government. So this is how they do this to you. They do this all the time, and it's time for you to wake up. They divide you based upon race. They divide you based upon religion. They divide you based upon your jobs, your education, the money you make. Well, folks, we're all human here. That is, all of us are human. That matters simply is that meaning simply is that black, white, red, and yellow. We're all human. We may be different colors, but we're all human. When are we going to start treating one another as humans? When are we going to love one another? When are we going to stop pointing the finger? As you so here, I'm pointing my finger. You see, I'm pointing it, but the other three fingers are pointing back at me. You see? So when are we going to see, when are we going to stop blaming everybody else around us? When are we going to take the ball and pick it up and run with it? Because we're all headed for disaster here. It's not just here in the United States. It's all the Western countries are going to be on the same level. They're going to be on the same playing field as the third world will be. And they've talked about this. They've talked about this 25 years ago. Where do you think all the jobs are gone? They're all gone. This was all done in treaties. You have men like Clintons. They're traitors. They are total traitors to your country, you see. But you can't worry about that. That's spilt milk. You got to live in the day. And I actually encouraged young people. I would encourage you, do not go to college anymore. You're just throwing your money away. You need to learn a trade. You need to learn how to fix a car. You need to learn how to fix an air conditioner, how to do all these things. You need to learn how to garden. You know how to grow stuff. because most people don't know how to do that right now. And eventually it'll be to the point as it was with my grandparents that simply is that people will work for food. They won't work for money. They'll work for food. That's how dire the situation will be. The difference is depression compared to inflationary is completely different. People in depression were at that time, they had farms and were less dependent than we are now, far less dependent than we are now. They also lived on property. They had a farm. They had some kind of animals, either pigs, cows, chickens, and plants. So this is what I'm trying to explain to people here. You got to understand it. The right ain't right, and the left ain't right. You see, and they wanted you to be divided, so you'll fight among yourselves and cause a civil war here. Don't buy into it. It's all foolishness. That's what they want. That's what they want you to do. And it simply is natural law. I don't need the government to rule over me. I don't need the government to have all these military posts across all over the world. What do we need all this stuff for? To control everybody else and steal from them? What does all this stuff mean anyway? I mean, that's part of capitalism simply is that they give you good paying jobs at first time so you can buy all these fringe benefits, a dishwasher, a washing machine, a nice radio or television, such and such. Well, that's fine in some ways, but the problem simply is you don't make those things in this country anymore. We don't. We don't make any televisions here in this country. We hardly even make cars anymore here in this country. We don't make any radios anymore. The last company to do that was Zenith, and they folded in 1986 or 87. They're gone. We don't make any televisions. I think Magnavox was one of the last ones here. Most are now either made in Indonesia, China. We don't make hardly. I don't know if we make. I think there may be one or two still companies making wash machines here, but they made them so expensive because the government now requires them to do this and that. And so there's a water shortage. There's all this stuff that they tell you about. They tell you that there's all these shortages, so they get you all in fear. Let me share something else here if I can. There was a book done by a gentleman many years ago. See if I can find it. Yeah, let me show you this too here. So let's go back and let's go to share screen here. Let's do this. Yes, this is where it is. Hold on. This is a book that Lindsay Williams wrote probably in the 70s. In fact, it actually says here 1971. Lindsay Williams went to the state of Alaska to be a part of become an aviation missionary. And he's the one I talked to you about, the deer. He shares that story, which is an absolutely true story. There was no crisis. There never was. They create artificial crisis. You understand? That's what they do. These people do. These people in the world, those who have all this money, they do this to you. They are supposedly human beings, and yet they do it to their own kind. Really blows me away. It really does. Why would you do that? But anyway, that's another story. But this was it. He wrote this book, The Energy Non-Conference, The Non-Crisis, and it simply is we have plenty of oil. We'll never run out of oil, folks. Never will. I'm sure it's the same way with gas, natural gas. I'm sure it's the same way even with coal. But he's the one that wrote this particular book. And he talked about what I talked about there, and he posed simply as, "Yeah, we've got this. We got plenty of oil up there, and we'll never use it in 100 years, 200 years, whatever. We'll never run out. But yet we're going across the world, and we're destroying other countries because we're competitive. That's what it's all about, folks. They're competing against us, and we can't have competition. See, that's what the monopoly is. It eliminates the competition. We know that simply is back in the day, the day when we recall during the you know oil wars and all this stuff. So and all these companies such and such. There was a cartel that each company, large corporations like EI DuPont. Are you aware that that Standard Oil Company learned how to produce oil out of coal in the 1930s? Are you aware that the United States was part of that and it actually worked with the company has comes from IB Fart was IB Fartner, something of that nature, a Danish company, I think it was, a German company that the United States gave them those rights as long as they didn't share those rights. In other words, they had the patent for that. IB Farton, something I can't remember, something of that nature. But anyway, what transpired simply was that they had the patent themselves, and so they were able to pressurize coal and produce oil out of it. We've had that technology. So see, this is all. This is how they do this to you. And you've been fooled all your life. Isn't it time to wake up? Isn't it time to wake up and find out who you are? Isn't it time to understand simply why am I here? Nobody asks you a question. So why am I here? What is my purpose here? Am I just here to be a slave? Am I here just to be to take from others? Am I here just to have a religious experience? Is this what I'm here for? Am I here to push a certain political ideology? Communism, capitalism. I can tell you this, neither one of these two groups, the capitalism and the communism, they don't provide the freedom. They milk you. They steal from you always. And your leaders, all of them, no matter what party they're part of, political, Republicans, Democrats, they're all liars. They're all actors in a lot of ways. They're actors. They're acting. They want to take your energy. And so all you got to do, and I've tried to tell this with you folks, and I made it very clear, you just don't engage with them anymore. You don't need them. Do you understand that? You don't need them. You don't need government because you can self-govern yourself. And when you do these things, you're acting into the world. You are projecting out in the world what you desire and what you want to take place. That's what you want to do. You don't want to do what they're doing, meaning projecting what you want, your hopes and dreams, your desires. And one of those desires simply is all men to be free. Everywhere. That we all would be at peace with one another. No more wars. No more craziness that we see here in the last year, 2020. this you have enormous power. You just don't know it, but you need to find out. You need to discover who you really are. You see, religion is simply a form of is just a bondage. It tells you a story that somehow you need a savior. Well, yeah, you need a savior. That savior is you. You're the savior of your own life. You don't go to hell. It's fear. It's fear porn. And so these guys, these guys who think they're really smart, these are guys that got PhD. These are rich kids. Listen to me. This is rich people, kids that desire to be in government, and so they push these ideas of communism or communitarianism, whatever ideas out there. So you abide on the thing because you know what? They're lazy. They don't want to work. You see, they want you to be on the plantation and that they are the slave owners. You see? And so you're deceived by this whole apparatus around you. You're actually free, but you've been in bondage because you think you're not. And you've been told all these things about, well, this is a great country. This is, the greatest country in the world. Well, how do you know it's the greatest country in the world? Have you been anywhere else? No. Well, then how do you know? You see. So you're being fooled. And it's propaganda. So the point here, as I'm trying to explain to you, is that they always offer you these two fields, red and blue, Republican and Democrat. There's nothing new under the sun, folks. You see, unless we understand simply is that we are free and we desire to be free and we don't listen to people who tell us lies anymore. Tired of it. You don't want to be a part of the system. You don't go out and march and in the streets and demand to be free, because the reality simply is that you know what that means? That you are begging the government for help. You're begging the government to please help me. Please, I can't make it. I need you. No, you don't. You've just been told that. You see, you need to understand these things. You need to understand simply is if you want to be free, then you desire to be free. And then you start planting the seeds of freedom within your own life. And so you have your own garden. You have your own fruit trees. You have your own ways of having water and food. You're no longer dependent upon them. You barter with other people, like-minded people, instead of, being a part of the problem. How about being a part of the solution type of thing? I grew up in politics, you see. But I always, at a point in my life, I come to the realization, probably when I was 21 or 22, realizing, hey, you know what? This is a dead end. Why want to be a lawyer? Why want to work in government? Why would I want to steal from others? You see, why are people told these things that you can be a great man? I'm not interested in being a great man. I want to know the truth, and I want to share it. You see, I'm not here I don't want to rule anybody's life. I got enough troubles simply as to rule in my own life. So why do I need you to lead me when you yourself are not capable of leading me in the first place? It is not your responsibility to lead me. It's not your responsibility to govern me. You have no authority. The clothes are off. You see, the emperor wears no clothes. What does that mean? Simply is when you come to the realization of seeing that basically they have no power. They never have had any power. You see, they basically have simply seduced you in believing a lie that some piece of paper gives you freedom. That's third party, folks. You wasn't there. How do you know it even took place? You see? Think about it. And I have people tell me, "Well, do we have to pay taxes because for the roads?" Really? Really? And we have to pay taxes so we can have a military. Oh, really? We're not conscious, folks. We're not even aware of what's going on around us. Most of us aren't. And that's why I'm out here sharing this. And, I don't get that many views. I really don't. But you know what? I really don't care because I'm telling the truth. And one day, somebody's going to hear this and they're going to wake up or become aware. I don't like using the word awake. I'm sorry. Aware and realize, wait a minute, this is all lies. The other thing simply is this, that people tell you that, they want to get off drugs and they want to get off, drinking and these things or smoking, whatever. Well, you know what? Do it. Don't just play games. I'm not trying to be hard here, but the point simply is, if you want to do it, you want to do it bad enough and stop it, you stop it. You make up your mind to stop it. I never got involved in alcohol or smoking or drugs. You know why? Simply, I looked at other people and I saw what it did to their lives. I saw it clearly. It's foolishness. So people get drunk and, they're going through depression. Well, I go through depression too. Well, they need this substance to help them. No, they don't. They just think it does. And in actuality, they had one problem, which was depression. Now they got two problems. Now they got depression and they got also a drinking problem. And if they continue on, they'll get a drug problem. And then after that, they'll have some other problem. And then simply as they're depressed, simply as they won't work anymore. So they quit their job or whatever it is. So they got more problems, you see. The key is simply is they always do this to you all the time. It's simply either or. Either you're with us or you're against us. That was the thing that George Bush spoke about. And the point simply is, well, excuse me, but isn't there a third way or is there a fourth position here? Of course there is. But they lock you in this maze and keep you blinded and keep you going down the path similar to what they do to others in the past. So I just thought about this tonight. It's very clear, and natural law is the truth. Is truth here, folks. We can be responsible. We can take care of ourselves. We can love one another. In fact, if we just turn the television off and the radio, most of these things will go away. You notice that? Think about that. I wonder what it was like 150 years ago when there was no television, no radio of any of that nature. The only thing they had was newspaper and word of mouth. I don't think people lived in fear back then like they do today. And the simply is fear itself keeps you in your lower chakras. It keeps you from actually advancing. It keeps you in that particular low domain. It's your choice. It's your life. You have no one to blame but yourself. When I'm sharing this to you tonight, it's simply this natural law. You can just pick up a book by Lysander Spooner, or you can read it online. You have all the opportunity in the world, and you're out here playing games on the internet and doing stupid stuff like watching porn. You see, today is the day. You may not have tomorrow, you see. You must seize the day. You just make up your mind, look, I'm going to take responsibility in my life. I'm not going to believe in the charades. I don't need a television. I don't need a radio. I don't need these things to interfere with me. I just need nature. And I think that's the other key here is sharing with you simply is I think it's good to be out in nature. You know why? It brings and gives you peace of mind. It helps you with your depression. You know, people, my granddad used to tell me he would go out into the woods and it would help him. I didn't understand that. Like he's some kind of kook. You know, tell that to a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old kid. Like, okay, granddad, I think you lost a few sprockets up there. No, he was right. And you know what? You need to just realize that your life here and you're spending all the time with, you know, with the radio, television or whatever, these things that keep you involved, you're not living. You're not living at all. And eventually that day would come simply as there won't be any internet or television, whatever. But you as you get older, as I've gotten older, you see things differently and you realize simply as, you know, being in nature is far more important. And I've been truly blessed in many, many, many ways. And so when I've been blessed in many ways, I have responsibilities. I have responsibilities to tell people what I know. And I can do that because I know a lot of things. Not that I know everything, and not that that's not the bragging. It's just simply that I've always had the desire, curiosity, just being curious about certain things and why things happen. It's always had that, you see. And nature is the key in a lot of ways. And that's what I'm talking about. Natural law is the same thing. Is there a government in with the birds? Do they have to have a government? Do the deer have to have some form of government in their, you know, their lives? You know, or do they have to report to the moose or whatever, whoever's chosen to be a leader in their group? Or can they survive as they are? Yes, they can survive as they are. And you say, well, that's kind of redundant, Brent. You know, they're just animals. We are too. And we seem to be the ones that lost, and they're not. We're the ones that's all messed up because we keep listening to people who lie to us all the time. We cannot recognize when someone lies to us or not. You know why? I can tell you why. Let me tell you a little secret. When you lie to other people, you get it back. When you lie to other people, people lie to you and you can't distinguish if they're telling you the truth or not. I learned that lesson a long time ago. It took a lot for me to learn. But, you know, when you lie to people, you can't remember what you told this person such and such is one thing. But the other thing simply is guess what? If you lie to people, they lie to you. And you're not able to discern if they're telling you the truth or right, telling you the truth or not. And so, you know, if you manipulate people, well, guess what? You get manipulated too. You see, you don't get away with this stuff, guys. You don't. You manipulate people, you do them wrong, it comes back to you. It takes a little time, maybe, but that won't be the situation when it comes to the age of Aquarius, will it? It's going to be different because you're going to know. It won't be, I believe. And we're on this, and these people who have been ruling this planet are in the age of grace and mercy, but their time's up. Their time is coming to the end. You see? And this is it. As you look in scriptures, you're told that men will hide themselves from God. They will actually hide from God because you know why? Because it's part of what we call Christ consciousness. You'll come to the recognition simply is that basically karma is coming. It's going to judge these people for what they did. Eventually, people will open up in fact, the whole world will open up their third eye. And then that's going to be the recognition simply is that everything's recorded. What you did to people, what you didn't do to people, how much harm you did to people, the lies you told, all these things, the traumas, yes, all that. And it will come to the point simply as you realize simply as you did harm to other people who didn't seek to do harm to you. It's time to make the change, folks. It is. And when they speak about, the churches, Christian churches and all this and about God, Jesus coming back, such and such. Yeah, Jesus is coming back, but it's not going to be Jesus in a physical manifestation, folks. It's going to be the Christ consciousness. That's what's coming. That's what these people who've been ruling this planet for thousands of years see. The key is simply, do you see? Okay, well, time's up. So I'll let you be. I wish you a good night, and you take care.